Somit erkläre ich hiermit die 50. Weltmeisterschaften 2021 in Rennrodel in Berchtesgaden Königssee für eröffnen. And hereby declare the 15 World Championship 2021 here, Berchtesgaden Königssee, open. Bahn ist frei.
Einars Fogelis, the new president of the International Luge Federation, welcoming the world to his sport's biggest annual event. It's the 50th FIL Luge World Championships, and we're at the home base for the sport of international luge in Berchtesgaden, Königssee, Germany. Welcome to Bavaria, everyone. A very warm, non-winter-like day with the temperature hovering in the low 40s on the Fahrenheit scale. Rainy earlier today, but now the sun is peeking through. We expect a little more rain as the weekend moves along. Hi again, everyone. I'm Tim Singer. Here's a closer look at the oldest artificially refrigerated track in the world, now over 50 years old. And to tell us a little bit more about this unbelievable location and track, I'm pleased to introduce from Team Canada, two-time Olympic medalist Alex Goff. Good morning and welcome, Alex.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me. This is a great venue. It is the original artificial luge track. Here we're up at men's start and coming through these top corners. This section here can be challenging for the men trying to set up Teufelsmüller. Königssee is a bit of a unique track in that the corners all have names. So here we're going through the S corners. It's S1 through S4. They're big, sweeping corners where you're getting a lot of height and out into the bend-away. So instead of having a straightaway, we have a bend-away, which is tricky for if you don't set it up right. And into the big Kreisel corner. It's one of the only full 360 Kreisel corners on the luge circuit. And then into the chicanes, which are really fun to ride, but not so fun if you don't get them right. And the final corners here into Echo, the big 180. This is all new section of track. They added on and renovated the track a few years ago, setting up for the last World Championships in Königssee.
Well, there's how the weekend's going to play out for everyone, as you just got your nice tour, and our thanks to Julian von Schleinitz, former World Cup competitor, for providing those pictures and those details on the POV camera. We've got the sprint competition today. Tomorrow we have doubles and men's singles, and then Sunday the World Championship will conclude with the women's singles competition and the team relay. But all three disciplines taking place today in this Sprint World Championship. And here's the start list for the 15 that qualified earlier today in this men's sprint competition. Unfortunately, not a banner morning for the North Americans and the Asians, so this may as well just be the European Championships with just a few exceptions. So we'll open things up here, and Alex, this right off the bat is a little bit of a surprise with Dominic Fishnoller the last in this men's field.
It is very surprising to see Dominic as the last qualifier to the Sprint World Cup. He's had a really good season so far with a few podiums, and watch him go here. So the sprint is unique in that the time doesn't the athlete pulls off. The time will start here where you see the arch over the track and the lights coming on. It's referred to as a flying start. So the idea is it takes some of the start advantage out of the run, and that's a really nice exit of S4 down the bend-away, right down the middle. He looks like he's having a great run so far, and we'll see how that works out for him in the end. Beautiful chicanes and into Kelstein.
It's a single run competition, so no chance to redeem yourself after the second run, as Fischneller comes up to the finish here in a time of 38.526. So we'll see. You have no way of knowing. Yeah.
Looked like a very good run, and we'll see how that stacks up to the next athletes. Really nice exit of corner S4. No skidding or ice cutting in that replay, so It'll come down to sled setup and the challenging weather they're going to have today. Up. Okay.
All right, this is Andre Monzi. It's been a pretty decent year for this Ukrainian, in fact, the entire Ukrainian team, which travels and trains on its own. They're increasing in numbers, and it's just great to see someone from the Ukraine qualify in this Elite 15 sled field.
This is a big step for Andre. He's been around for a number of years and has been improving. You can see that he slid a bit off the edge of lean on there. You can hear a bit of ice cutting, and that's not a great exit of S4 where you're hitting the corner or hitting the walls. He handled it really well, tried to minimize the damage there. So this is not as great of a run for Andre here, but really impressive to see him in the sprint.
It will be interesting to see how long Fischneller's time can stand up here in this single run. I'm not sure what happened to him this morning to be back in 15th place, and I didn't have a chance to chat with he or Emily or anyone, but I think we may see Dominic there for a while.
Yeah, I think we might. He had a great run, and it might have been conditions or his start position on the in the qualification run that led to that, or he could have had a mistake and made up for it here in the actual heat.
All right, moving things along here. There again is a look at that exit of S4 as I believe that's Tony Yeager, who we'll be seeing in a little bit in the doubles competition, checking out the ice temperature. And now the lone American to qualify in today's men's field, that's singles and doubles. This is Tucker West, 25-year-old. He's pretty quick here at the start, usually.
Yeah, so for Tucker, this race probably puts him at a little bit less of an advantage. It kind of takes some of that start advantage that he has with his really fast start out of it. But if he can have a good run here, he can definitely be competitive. Looking good so far. You can see how high the men get in the S corners there. Little bit of a bump out of S4, but he handled it really nicely.
Tucker, the only American, by the way. Chris Masger, his teammate, missed out just 1,000th of a second behind Dominic Fishnoller for the final qualifying spot.
Yeah, so we're not going to see Chris at all this weekend. He missed out both in men's and doubles, finishing 16th in both, so that'll be
that's tough.
Tough for Chris, but he's got some opportunities for redemption in the classic races.
That's right.
Later this weekend.
We will see him this weekend. We won't see him today. Tucker, a distant half second behind Dominic Fishneller in second place.
Looks like Tucker had a couple of mistakes there hitting the top of S2, but he's handled it well. A little bump out of S4 as well. So not a perfect run for Tucker, but that may be an indication of how good Dominic's run was. We'll see how that continues to play out as the athletes that qualified higher go later in the race.
On course now, one of two Latvians to qualify today. This is 18-year-old Jins Bergens, the youngest athlete we'll see today. And you're getting one of your first looks at an up-and-coming youth Olympic gold medalist, Alex.
It is. I've watched him a little bit this season, or just made note of him on the World Cup, but I haven't seen much of him yet. That's a bit of a mistake there out of S4. Again, handled really well. You can tell that the athletes have quite a bit of control over the sleds as they're able to correct those mistakes with the warm conditions and the softer ice.
Now down to the lower sections, they've renamed this wall right here, the wall around the lake, they've renamed it the Fent Wall after the outgoing longtime president.
That's a
Fent
new
curve.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. While I was sliding, it was Echo, so
exactly.
Good to know that they've changed things up and are honoring the former president of the FIL, who's very long-serving.
26 years. He brought this sport a long way.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see that little bit of mistake out of S4 there for Gintz. It's challenging to get off the track sometimes with our little race shoes that are built for aerodynamics and not so much for traction.
Okay, a little bit of an update here as we get ready for our first Russian competitor, Alexander Gorbachev, here at the World Championships. As is the case in the Olympics, in all sports, you don't see our U.S. on your screen right there, nor do you see a flag. The Russians are mandated now to be competing at championships under their own individual federation, in this case RLF, the Russian Luge Federation. All of this still dating back to some of the sanctions to alleged doping. And, you know, it's a saga that just continues, Alex.
It is a saga. Oh, that is not a great line through S2 and some big problems out of S4. Not a very smooth S-corners there for Gorbachev. Recovered here, but that's going to cost him a lot of time. Yeah, those sanctions date back to alleged doping and violations that came out of Sochi. And we're still seeing some of the consequences of that play out. But so this wasn't a great run here for Gorbachev, and it shows in his time. Almost 2 seconds behind here.
Here's a look at Yulia Tobits, I believe, trackside. She just finished her qualifying run, just barely making it into the field a little earlier.
Yeah, that's a very, very surprising to see. There you see him hit the boards in S2. And for the men, the S-corners, you're trying to get a lot of height, but you really don't want to
get that much.
Yeah, you don't want to get that much. You can see Dominic's reaction there, and he knows that that's not great, and it can end really badly if the athlete doesn't handle it well.
Wolfie Kindl, the first of 3 Austrians to qualify. Ronnie Yeager did not make this weekend's World Championship team, and earlier today, Jonas Mueller failed to qualify in the preliminary run. And real quickly, Alex, some other updates. Reed Watts ended up 19th, Moritz Bowman 17th, Rupert Staudinger, a local favorite, 27th, and Pavel Repilov crashed. Those are some notables that did not make today's race.
Yeah. Kindl here is ahead of Dominic, so this is the first athlete we see challenge Dominic there. Ooh, big problems in the chicanes, and he's had recovered, but there's back on his sled, but that's going to cost him, and he's going to fall behind Dominic here at the end.
And probably a few others. I mean, he lost all of his speed, and Wolfie was doing what he normally does well. He was picking up that speed, but we talked so much about S4 and bend away. The exit of Kreisel's not easy either, is it?
No, it's not. If you don't come straight out of Kreisel, or you're not set up and you're going to miss it here. He just tapped the inside of the first chicane there, and you can see the results of that here as he's trying to recover his sliding. There it is. He hit just before that and then hit the inside wall here. And once you're offline in the chicanes, it's really hard to try and recover that. So that's really unfortunate to see with Kindl.
Kindl, the first of 4 former world champions that are in today's men's competition. His teammate Nico Gleisha now on course, and he's having issues.
Yeah, a little offline there out of Leanon and Teufelsmüller. Looking like he's recovered through the S's here. Little bump off S4, but recovers really nicely. And you can see he's still behind. Oh, he's come ahead of Dominic Fishnoller as he comes into Kreisel. Much smoother chicanes there than his teammate.
Very much a breakout season for Nico, who's been in the shadow of his Olympic gold medal winning brother for the last couple of years, but he's been solid from start to finish.
Yeah, both Gleischers are really solid, and here we go. Nico comes down ahead of Dominic Fishnoller and moves into first place.
Wow, that was really something. 1,500s up.
Yeah, no, he had a great run, even with a little bit of a direction off the end of S4 that you're going to see here. He handles that really well. The transition between the surface on which you ride and the walls in Königssee are profiled, so it doesn't cost quite as much time as you would think to take that little bump there.
Now Kevin Fischneller, who absolutely cannot be taken lightly in this discipline. He ended up last week clinching a tie for the overall championship this season. He and Felix Locke ended up in an exact points tie for the sprint title.
Wow, I hadn't seen that one. Amazing. Kevin is quietly very, great competitor, and he has these breakout races where he's on the podium. So I'm not surprised to see that he will make it into the sprint and be a challenge for the podium. But he's behind here and behind both Dominic and Nico.
2 Gleichers, 2 Fischnellers. The Gleichers are brothers. The Fischnellers are cousins. And we're about halfway through, more than halfway through now, this 15 sled field. It's Nico Gleicher leading over Dominic Fishnoller.
Yeah. And again, coming off S4 there with a little bit of direction to the wall, and handles it nicely, but will definitely still cost a bit of time. You can see maybe a bit of skidding there going in through the end of the second chicane into Kelstein.
Second of the Latvians, Arturs Darznieks, now on course. Arturs nearly had his first podium of his career. He was in third after one run in Sigulda on his home track in his hometown. He dropped to fourth at the end of the day, but still a career best.
And that's great to see from Arturs. He's been having some great races over the last couple years and showing signs of breaking onto the podium. I know it's probably heartbreaking to fall to fourth. I've been there, but
yes, you have.
He will get there, and it'll be exciting to see the Latvian break onto the podium. It's looking like he's having a really good run here.
Exactly, the exit of the Kreisel. It really doesn't have perhaps the sled setup. The Latvian sleds were really fast last week in Innsbruck.
Yeah, so maybe just not quite set up for the conditions here. No big mistakes to speak of, but not the time that I'm sure he would have been looking for.
Nico stays out in front. 6 remain.
Coming through those final corners there, and looks really smooth, and not much to say, so I would guess that there's some sled setup concerns there. And we may see the Latvians make some changes prior to the classic races here.
Now the defending world sprint champion, not to mention the world overall champion last year on his home track in Sochi. This is Roman Repilov. Coming into the season, perhaps Alex is the best in the world in most people's minds, but he's fallen off a bit this season.
Yeah, this has been the season of Felix Locke's comeback. He has won, I think it's every
9 of
world.
11, yeah.
Yeah. So, and here we see Roman. He's in the green, so he's coming down ahead of Nico Gleicher, and not surprising to see that. He's a fierce competitor, and we're having a great run down the track here in Königssee.
Very close, though, just 200ths up at that last split. The next split will be the finish time.
So it'll just be a matter of if he has the speed into this uphill section, and you heard some feet down and falls behind.
Cost him 2 spots. How about Fischneller? Dominic Fishnoller still in second place as the first to go. Nico Gleicher still leading the way, and we've got our final 5 to come.
Really nice here through the S's. You can see he just barely clears the top of those corners, and that's kind of the ideal line for the men there. Really nice exit of S4, no extra ice cutting or skidding.
Now Max Langenhahn, whose victory in a sprint earlier this season was one of only 2 races this year that Felix Locke did not win. Still a young German, part of the Thuringian Oberhof program.
Yeah, Max is one of the young athletes that's come on since I've been retired.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
here he is
missed.
ahead. Oh, thanks, Tim. Yeah, having a great run. In the green, looks like we could see a new leader, but he's close, very, very close. So it'll be a matter of whether he has the speed coming through Fendt corner into this uphill section and how well he carries that.
Could be a German celebration here, but he falls
Not.
back, losing about 1500ths in those last few curves. It's still
Dominic
Nico
still
Glacier out in
holds
front.
on.
Yes, Dominic in second. We have 4 remaining. Now, keep in mind, the final 4 are all either Olympic champions, Olympic medalists, or world champions, so we've saved the best for last here.
Yeah, so the way the sprint works is the fastest athletes from the qualifying run will be the last athletes to go in the sprint event, and it's a elite group here at the end.
Now, David Glacier, whose Olympic gold medal 3 years ago came out of nowhere, but Alex, he's really backed it up over the last few years with some solid performances on the World Cup.
He has, for sure. You know, it's pretty amazing for him to have had that breakout race at the Olympics. To be able to compete under that kind of pressure and put it together like that was amazing to get to watch. And he has backed that up with some great performances here in the subsequent years. A little behind his brother right now. We'll see if he's able to catch him and move into the first place. It's really close.
Well, one thing we know from both Kindle, who crashed, and Nico Glacier is that
There he is ahead.
Yeah, these Austrian sleds are set up perfectly today.
Yeah, the Austrians have been super strong in the last couple of years, and both in sled setup and sliding. Looks like he's ahead. Oh!
Losing just a little bit. It's a Glacier top 2 in the leaderboard with 3 remaining here at the Sprint World Championship for the men.
Yeah, quite the competition between the brothers here. And David falls just 400ths behind his brother Nico. And in the replays here, you can see he had a really great run going. Beautiful lines down the track, but just a little bit behind his brother there.
Now the final Russian, Zeman Pavlichenko, fresh off of his victory in the sprint last week at Eagles. Pavlichenko, always fun to watch on course.
Yes, Pavlichenko is fun to watch. He's one of those athletes that slides in just perfect aerodynamic position, but also in that he can miss certain things and end up making big mistakes. But as you can see there, he's able to handle the exit of S4 and have a good line down there. But those little taps into the wall at S4 may catch up with him down here.
0.006 of a second up at that second to last split time. This is going to be tight.
Is he gonna?
Missing out by 400.
He can't hold on to it.
In fact, only 1,000th of a second separate Pavlichenko in second, with David Glacier in third. But it's Nico Glacier continuing to lead the way and guaranteed a podium.
That's a very impressive result for Nico. You can see Pavlichenko there had a couple of little taps into the wall there, handling that mistake really nicely, but that still costs some time, and when you're looking at hundreds and thousands of a second, that's enough.
Top 2 qualifiers now, both German, both Olympic medalists. You got to believe the Germans spent a fair amount of time here in Königssee over the holidays before the last World Cup, after the World Championships were moved from Whistler to Königssee. They own this course, they know it, and here's Johannes Ludwig.
Absolutely, the Germans would have spent a bunch of time here when they weren't competing, getting as much training as they can on this track. You can see here Ludwig is having a good run, but a little bit behind, so we'll see if he's able to catch up some time here to Nico. And falling further behind. He's having a good run, but it's not showing in the times.
Will it be a podium run? It doesn't appear to be a leading run. Johannes Ludwig, the Olympic bronze medalist, back in 8th place. All sorts of trouble for him. So Nico Glacier no worse than second. The Russian Pavlichenko is also on the podium, and it all boils down to what Felix Lach can do as the final sled.
Yeah, you can see Johannes here through the chicanes. Looks like a nice line, so may just be some sled setup or things that we weren't able to see on the video. But
here we go.
Disappointing there for Johannes.
The hometown hero, Felix Lach. He's won a ton of World Championship titles, including the first sprint title, the first time they held the Worlds here in 2016 for the sprint.
Yeah, he is such an impressive athlete in this sport, and he will be one of the legends as his coming down here, and he's a little behind Nico, so we'll see if he makes up that time here in Kreisel in the lower section.
It was a perfect exit of S4, and now the exit of Kreisel. It's really, it's going to boil down to how he and Hockel have set up this sled.
Yeah, beautiful lines, but just not looking like that time is there or building down the track, and we're in the uphill section now, so.
Can you believe that Nico Gleicher is a world champion? He and his brother are both on the podium. Exhilaration in the family as Zeman Pavlichenko takes the silver in between them. Unbelievable, huh, Alex?
That's amazing. I'm so happy for Nico Gleicher. What a great result for him, and you can see how excited he is there. You know, you saw David Gleicher have his breakout at the Olympics in 2018, and you know, brother Nico was definitely chasing that as well. So we'll see if he's
the following year, Alex, it was Jonas Müller, kind of an unheralded Austrian who had a breakout world championship in the sprint competition in Winterberg.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see here the Austrian coaches celebrating their athletes' victory. Lots of former athletes in that group, and you know, former Olympic and world championship medalists.
Well, I would think as we see these standings, Nico Gleicher, David Gleicher in third. Who knows where Wolfie Kindle would have ended up had he not had the problem out of Kreisel. So as we check out all of the standings,
yes,
I think we need to give some of that gold medal to Peter Pens and Toby Schiegel. For the 7th time over 52 years, the Luge World Championships have come to the hub of the sport of international luge, Berchtesgaden, Königssee, Germany. We're on the shores of beautiful Lake Königssee, Kings Lake, on a warm, cloudy afternoon in Germany. Hi again, everyone. I'm Tim Singer. Welcome to the FIL Luge World Championships. These are shifted, originally scheduled for Whistler, Canada. Due to the pandemic, Königssee hosting 2 races this year. We just had the men's singles competition. Congratulations to Nico Gleicher of Austria, the new world champion. Now we set things up for the doubles competition. And again, I introduce my broadcast partner, a 6-time world championship medalist from Canada, Alex Goff. Alex, welcome back.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here, and looking forward to watching the doubles competition.
And as we get ready, of course the Germans are favored on their home track, but that was the case with Lach earlier today. Surprises already abound.
Yes, we watched Nico Gleicher break out and win a world championship sprint. And here in the doubles, we could also see some Austrians who have had an amazing season. Stoy Kohler also challenged for the top of the podium in the Sprint World Championships.
They will be the last to go. Here are the first to qualify on the number earlier today, Bats and Pluma of Latvia. They're just 20 and 21 years old, but they've already found their way onto the World Cup podium earlier this season.
Yes, they're having an absolute breakout season. It's great to see a young doubles team start to have some great results. This young Latvian team is having a good run here.
Really, about half the age of their Latvian teammates, who we'll see a little later on?
Yeah, they're definitely the young guns for the Latvians with 6'6", the old veterans, and we'll see them later in the competition here.
To the finish in a time of 39.420. Really no way yet to ascertain how that'll match up. But, hey, it's their first World Championships ever. They've made it into the main draw in this elite sprint field, so not bad.
Yeah, they had to qualify in the top 15 earlier today to make this race, and here you can see them coming through the chicanes, which is a particularly tricky section for doubles, and really impressive to see them have a great run and come down clean. So we'll see how that stacks up against the rest of the field.
The Russian Luge Federation has 3 entries qualifying today, and here are the youngsters, Bushniev and Kilsiev, in their first season, really just their 3rd international race here at the World Championship.
Yeah, they are a new team to come out of the Russians program, and this will be the first time I've really seen them race, so I look forward to seeing what they have here in Königssee.
Real quickly, we're seeing the 14th place qualifier. We just saw the 15th, but the 3 that missed out of note, the Americans, Masner and Turdeman, were 16th, so a rough day for Chris Masner, 16th in both qualifying races. The South Koreans were 17th, and most surprisingly, the Italians, Rieder and Rassner, who won last week, they did not qualify. They ended up in 18th after an incident high up on the track.
Yeah, really unfortunate to see all those teams just barely miss out, and particularly Masner and Rieder. We expect to see them in the top 15, so they'll be out for some redemption when we get to the main event of the doubles competition.
So the Russians are through in 2nd place behind the Latvians, and now we get set for the Canadians. The lone Canadian competing today in any of the 3 disciplines, the veterans, Walker and Smith, your longtime teammates and fellow medal-winning Olympians from Pyeongchang.
Yeah, we'll see what Tristan can pull together here, and hopefully they'll have a really good run. It's been, I think, a challenging season for not only just the Canadians, but also the Americans. All of them came late to the World Cup. They didn't join here in Europe till after Christmas. Oh, and there's a bit of a mistake at the start there. The idea of the sprint race is that it takes some of the start out of the
equation,
play,
yeah.
But we'll see. It still, plays a factor, and here they are 8 thousandths behind coming out of S4, looking like they're having a good run and into the green.
Yeah, it was a perfect exit of S4. Let's see how they handle the exit of the Kreisel.
A little bit of a loop in Kreisel, but they've handled it on the exit, and they're showing 200ths ahead, so that's positive to see for Tristan and Justin.
Olympic silver medal winners to the finish for Canada. It's an abbreviated Canada season with a small team. 39.368 is their finish time as we take a look at the trainer down there at the bottom. She seems pleased.
Yeah, seeing Bernie and the physio that's working with the team now. Good to see them come down in the green. They probably wanted to see a little bit more of a time ahead, but we'll see how that holds up with the rest of the field coming down behind them.
Canada out in front of Latvia and Russia in the early going here is a good look at Justin Smith, seemingly satisfied, maybe a little bit satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to see that they came down relatively clean. Little bit of an issue at the start, but we'll see how much that affects them as the rest of the field comes down here.
Now Poland's Wojciech Chmielewski and Jakub Kovalevski, who, since you retired, Alex, have found their way onto the podium twice.
Yeah, really impressive to see how these guys have done. They were threatening the podium through the end of my career there, and they've developed into some pretty competitive athletes here. A little bit behind coming through the Kreisel. We'll see how the exit plays out.
3 thousandths of a second separating Poland and Canada right now.
Yeah. And as they come through the bottom, we'll see if the speed holds up for them.
And a little foot tap down there on one of the last curves, but look at that, 6 thousandths of a second separating the top 2 in the early going here. Poland out in front of Canada and Latvia.
Yeah, such a close race there, and tough break for the Canadians to lose by 6 thousandths to the Polish there, but they had a good run and they held it together. It's you could tell that they were just on the edge coming down the track, especially through the bottom there, and Really good to see that the Polish team has held it together and come down with a good time.
Decent
sitting
time,
in the
yeah,
front.
for sure. Okay, now there are 3 Germans. That's not a big surprise in today's competition. The surprise may be at the beginning of this year, you would not. Munder and Gubitz would be the 3rd of the Germans. But frankly, Robin Goyaka and David Gahm had every opportunity to try to make this World Championship team, and they just could not get it fully together.
Yeah, these guys are the young Germans, and it's good to see them breaking out and having a good season. And too bad that Robin and David aren't here, but that's the nature of the sport, and when you have
25 good sleds in every discipline in Germany, right?
I don't know if they're quite that deep, but it's definitely a deep program, and there's always someone breathing down your neck looking to take your spot, and as they come down and in the lead here.
39.240, very healthy lead for Hannes Munder and Paula Gubitz. They've had 5 top 10s on the World Cup this year, so a great breakout year.
Yeah, they're definitely showing that they'll follow in the German footsteps of being a very dominant doubles team as they continue to grow.
Well, moving along here as we see this really nice picture-perfect exit of curve 6, which is also known as S4.
Yeah.
And we now head to the Austrians, Yannick and Armin Müller-Frauscher. There are 2 teams today in the doubles competition whom, Alex, when you were last competing, they were all singles competitors.
Yes, yeah, no, Müller-Frauscher, Armin Frauscher was trying to make the 2018 Olympic team as a singles slider and has since moved to doubles with Müller. Having a great run so far. Beautiful lines, and it's showing at the time.
They are 6th in the World Cup overall standings. They've had 2 podiums, a 2nd and a 3rd on 2 different tracks, which is always good to see.
Yeah, the Austrians are just continuing their tradition of really, oh no, some problems there.
Major
Ouch.
Problems.
Yeah, they've crashed in the end, and that will take them out of the lead, which they were holding on to there. Really unfortunate to see. I was about to say that Austrians are continuing with tradition of really strong double sleds, but that's the nature of racing, and sometimes you find yourself on your side.
Well, this is the top, but the incident happened down below, and we saw it a little earlier today, Alex, with Wolfie Kindle as well. About the same spot.
Yeah, Wolfie's problem started a little higher up. Looks like these guys had some issues off the newly named Fent corner, just a little early off the corner there and hitting the right wall, which kind of they weren't able to get on top of, and led to a crash in the following corner.
They do get a finish time. It will very likely be a 15th place finish time, depending what happens next. But we've still got another Austrian sled, the final sled. That'll be fun to watch, Stoyan Kohler. But plenty of more action before that. And here are the Russians, Denisov and Antonov. It looked like they tapped a wall there right off of the start.
They did tap the wall. It'll probably be a little bit of time there, but it actually kind of helped them as they needed to make the turn there as Bob and Double Start come together.
I believe they are the defending World Sprint champions. They took the sprint title on their home track last year.
Yeah, they were in Sochi last year, and these guys took the Sprint World Championship. So we'll see how they can do here today in Königssee.
Still in the red, trailing the Germans.
Yeah, pretty good run here from these guys. They're just not having the time to go with it. And
wow, they're back in 6th place out of 7.
Yeah, so some of that may have played into the warm weather conditions we're having today, and that will lead to some softer ice, and it's
It's
you're not set up for it.
We haven't talked about it also, Alex. Here in Königssee, it's a very flat, for the women in the doubles, that start area. I remember Tatyana Hoofner used to do about 11 or 12 paddles. So, anything can happen when you're paddling that much, right?
Yes, definitely. And, I think the average is usually about 7 paddles. It is a very flat start, and it's unique on the World Cup circuit. Most starts are more of a ramp, and you do about 3 to 4 paddles. So definitely a different start.
Cleaner at the top for this Russian team, Kashkin and Korshunov, but they are in the red already.
Yeah, so having a good run so far, but time is not there, and we'll see if they can pick up any in the bottom.
And their middle speed of 69.2 miles per hour is very much middle of the pack so far.
And they're going to come down behind and in 5th place.
5th out of 8th. It is the Germans getting a lot of attention there in the leader area. Orlamunda and Gubitz out in front. Poland in 2nd, Canada in 3rd, as we have come to the halfway point of this World Championship Sprint doubles race.
Here you see the shot of the chicanes as the doubles come through there, and they're not really corners. They're kind of banked sections that you have to navigate. It's a tricky section, but it's a lot of fun to slide when you get it right. So
isn't that the USA coach? Banked? Oh, that's banked. And you said banked. Sorry.
Oh, banked. Yes.
Yes. Okay. We mentioned Reeder and Rastner of Italy failed to qualify, but 2 Italian teams are in today's race, and here's Ivan Nagla and Fabian Malaya. The sprint, Alex, not everyone loves it, but as you mentioned in the first discipline in men, what it does tend to do is equalize the field and create some surprises.
It does. The idea is that the time starts a little further down after kind of speed has evened out, rather than picking up start advantage for the more power starters in the field. And as someone who worked really hard to have a fast start and be among the top in the world, I never loved the sprint because I felt it took away some of the advantage I'd worked so hard for. But here we see the Italians coming down, and respectable time there.
Things are looking pretty good for your teammates. Walker and Smith still in the top 3, and they'll be on their way to their best finish of the season, regardless of what happens here on out.
So far, so good for Walker Smith. You never know with a sprint, and particularly early in the field, whether or not that time is going to hold up. But it seems to be here for the Canadians and also the Germans who are sitting at the top. But we have the best in the world coming up, and we'll see how they do.
We have the best ever coming up next. The 2 Tobis, Bendel and Alt. When we were last year at the World Championships in 2016, it was a Bavarian show with these 2, Felix and Natalie. We'll see what the Bayern Express can do. Our congratulations to the top man you're about to see, Toby Bendel, who became a father earlier this week with the birth of his son, Leo Maximilian.
Congratulations to Toby. Exciting to see people moving on to the next stages of their lives, and I've known the Tobys since we were teenagers, so congratulations to him and all the best to his young family. We see them here coming out of S4 beautifully and showing in the time with a green split.
We'll see if they can extend that here at this split. 3,000.
Coming back. Very tight race here.
2 Germans, 1 at the bottom, the youngsters from Thuringia. Here are the veterans from Bavaria, battling it for the top 2 spots. Toby and Toby are in the lead. They found a lot of time down below.
Yes, they did, for sure. And this is their home track, so they're going to know how to build speed through the bottom. And that likely started in the Kreisel. They had a really beautiful Kreisel and chicanes through the bottom, and that's their knowledge and expertise on this track definitely showing there.
The only thing really missing, Alex, is the hometown Bavarian luge fans cheering the Tobits down at the bottom. And you saw all of the posters of spectators, but unfortunately no family or friends.
Yeah, no, definitely a different season with no fans on track side at the bottom to cheer everyone on, but great to see that we're able to have the races and have a season here. So
the Tobits have the lead, of course, pre-race favorites among the small group, but we have 5 remaining on course now from Latvia: Oskars Gudramovic and Patelis Kalnins, playing with fire on that exit of S4.
Yeah, and you can see there down the bend away, they kind of came close to those inside walls, and yeah, you got to kind of pick your way through there and set up your line. And they're still managing to have some decent lines down here down the track, and unfortunately they're in the red, and I don't know that they'll be able to pull that back as they come through this uphill section.
Oscar's head way up for most of this run, so aerodynamically that couldn't have been good. 1300ths behind the 4-time Olympic gold medalist Wendel and Alt of Germany.
Yeah, putting them in 3rd place right now, and we'll, so not a perfect run from the Latvians here, but they've come down and currently 3rd, so we'll see if they can hold on to that as the best come down after them here, and watching them go through the chicanes.
Plenty of paddles for the Italians, who have been so fast at the start this year. They're another pair of former singles competitors, Emanuel Rieder and Simone Keinswaldner, on course now.
Yeah, watching these guys come down, a nice exit of S4. Like you said, both former singles sliders who have decided to pair up and try their hand at doubles, and have had some success so far.
Indeed, this is just their 3rd year together, but they already have a World Championship silver medal in the sprint from last year.
Great to see them have some success in that, and to see if they can have another great race this year.
To the finish in 4th place, so it's Germany, Latvia, the top 3. But the final 3 sleds are still coming up. On balance, the 3 best in the world, the Latvian brothers, then Germany's Egert Beneken, and the World Cup champions, Stoyan Kola.
Yeah, the next 3 sleds have definitely been the best this season, and great to see the 6 brothers, who are the veteran doubles team on the World Cup circuit, have another great season and show that they're still among the best in the world.
Andres and Eures, last week they won their 4th career race. All 4 of those victories have come in the last 2 years. Of course, they have earned a trio of Olympic medals in their great career. They started at about the same time as you did, Alex, and they're still going strong.
They did. I raced with them when we were juniors, and great to see them still competing, and obviously amazing to see that they're having this kind of success later into their career. Luge is an experience-based sport, so the more experience you have, often with all these tracks, the better you can do. You know the nuances of each of them as you slide on them more. So 6 brothers here having a great run behind Wendel Alt, so we'll see how they finish here through the end. And
yeah, they found a lot of speed down at the bottom, but not enough. They ran out of track 14 thousandths of a second back. So Toby and Toby are on the podium, and they keep up a perfect record, because this is the 5th sprint all-time world championship, and the Tobys are the only sled, men, women, and doubles, to have medaled, podiumed in every race.
And that is, a testament to how great the Tobys are as a doubles team and their success over the years. So we'll see what place on the podium they end up with 2 sleds left to go.
Time will tell if they win their 3rd overall sprint world championship. The Latvians We'll have to wait and see if they end up on the podium. So the Germans, Toby and Toby, in the lead, and their country mates, but of course their biggest rivals in the sport, now on course. It looked like 10 paddles for Tony Yeagert and Sacha Bennikin.
Amazing, yeah. Doubles will push as many paddles as they can get. You know, as we said, the sprint tries to take some of the start advantage out, but as much as that's the case, it's still important to have a fast start and build as much velocity at the start as you can. Yeagert, Bennikin having a little tap out of S4, but still good lines. Unfortunately, seeing them in the red, we'll see if they can make up that time here in the bottom.
Any little mistake hurts in this sprint competition, and we'll see. They were 700ths back. That's a lot to make up.
Yeah, that is a lot of time, particularly in this tight doubles field.
Well, it is so tight. 300 separating the top 3 positions, but it's Toby and Toby still out in front. The Latvians in second. It's Germany actually 1, 3, and 4 with only the Austrians to come.
Yeah, little tap here at S4, so a bit of a mistake there. And, you know, for how close this race is, that could have cost them the 300ths they are behind their teammates in the Tobys. It is such a tight competition between these two and a huge rivalry. So always exciting to see who's going to come out on top in that competition. And now we have Stoy Kohler, and these guys have arguably been the best in the world this year. So
last couple of years, save for an injury, and they last week clinched the first World Cup doubles title not by a German in 7 or 8 years. So congratulations to Stoy and Kohler. Let's see if they can add a world championship to that.
Yeah, amazing to see them come up the ranks and win a World Cup overall. I believe the last Austrian team to win an overall title would have been the Linger brothers.
That's correct.
So, you know, amazing to see them continue that tradition with the Austrians of really strong doubles.
This is for the World Championship, and no, you have 4 sleds within a 1/10 of a second, but the gold goes to the hometown Bavarians, the 2 Tobys, the Bayern Express. Congratulations to Wendel and Alt. That is their 3rd Sprint World Championship out of 5 attempts.
Amazing, yeah. Huge congratulations to the Tobys, and great to see them start this weekend off on a high note. It's such a close field with these double sleds, so to see the top 4 within a 10th is, you know, hard to break that down and really find the time down the track. And here we see Stoy Kohler coming through the chicanes and, you know, looking really good. So unfortunately just not able to make it onto the podium there.
Well, earlier today, Germany got shut out of the podium in the men's competition. They atoned a big time here in the doubles event with 3 in the top 5, including 2 podium spots. And congratulations to Toby Wendel and Toby Alt. All told, that's their 13th World Championship medal. If you mix the classic races with the sprint competitions, their 6th gold medal. Incredible run for Tim Singer. Temperature is now cooling down a bit in Bavaria, but still relatively warm for a winter sport. Doesn't seem to be affecting the ice conditions, at least during the 2 men's disciplines. Here's a closer look at the track, and in a moment, we'll get a look at the 15 athlete field of those who have qualified for this sprint competition from earlier today in the preliminaries. It's a leaderboard or a start list with 4 Russians and 4 Germans, and of course here in Königssee it is the Germans who are expected to do well. They have dominated the sport throughout the 21st century. In fact, perfect segue. Right now I'm pleased to introduce a woman who ended a 15-year Germany World Cup victory run from Canada, Alex Goff. Welcome back, Alex, as we get ready for the final 15 of the day.
Thanks again, Tim. It's the last race of the day. We're here with the women's sprint competition. First up here is Ulla Zerne from Latvia.
One of 2 Latvians to qualify for today's competition, notably not qualifying back in 17th place, is Elitsa Taruma. 16th, just missing out, is a former Canadian competing for Argentina, Veronica Ravenna, and Emily Sweeney of the U.S. missing out back in 24th place. Those are all 3 notable athletes, many others. In fact, 46 started this morning, only 15 qualified.
Yeah, it's a very large women's field here at the World Championships this year. So amazing to see so many women out, and we'll see the top 15 from today's qualifying run here in the Sprint World Championships.
Ula Zerna down in the final few curves here. She crosses at 39.601 for the Latvians, and right off the bat, I mean, we'll get a slow-mo replay of Ula, but right off the bat, we'll be watching closely Yulia Tobits, the first of the Germans, coming up next.
Yeah, Ula looked like she had a really good run, some solid lines, so we'll see how her time holds up against the rest of the women in the field.
So Tobits has been rock solid this year with 6 victories. That's more than anyone, including Natalie Geisenberger, whom she trails in the World Cup standings. But she had an awful crash earlier this week in training. She was far from smooth this morning and just qualified for this sprint.
Yeah, it's very surprising to see Julia here as the second off in this race. It goes in reverse order of your rankings for the top 15 this morning in the qualifying. So to see her back in 14th place is a bit surprising. Here she's in the green and coming down a little faster than Ula. Looks like she's having a solid run so far.
Well, nicely done. Wow, she saved it for the right moment, didn't she, Alex?
She sure did. Beautiful run here from Julia. Just through the last part of the track here in the bottom section. I think we'll see her have a great time, and I expect we'll see that hold up.
Big sigh of relief from Yulia Tobits, moving into the lead, having her first clean run, and by a half second moving into first place with a track record.
Great run from Julia. I mean, what can you say? It's a track record, so we'll see if any of the other women from later on who are also strong competitors and have medal potential will hold up to that time.
4 Germans and 4 from the Russian Luge Federation, making up more than half of the field in today's World Championship sprint. This is Ekaterina Baturina. Alex, it's great to see, and it's been the case all season long, the women are the main event. They've been the Sunday race in most of the World Cups. They're the final featured event today.
Yeah, no, there's some real competition in the women's field right now. We've had the return of the veterans in Natalie Geisenberger and Diana Eitberger coming off their maternity leave. Amazing to see them come back after having children, kind of showing that it's possible to do that and be real competitors still. Some real young guns coming up. Madeleine Egle has broken onto the podium for Austria. So really exciting to see what's happening in the women's field.
Baturina down in 3rd place. We speculated before this race began that if Tobits put it together, she may get a lot of time in the leader's zone, and I'm holding to that.
I expect with that track record, we will see her standing in the leader's box for a large portion of this race, if not all of it.
Andrea Fetter on course right now for Italy. On balance, she's generally one of the fastest at the top of the track. So let's see, her speed is the 2nd fastest. Quite a bit slower than Yulia Tobits, but I don't know exactly what that means at this point.
Yeah, speed traps can be a bit tricky, so we'll see if that. Oh no, that's too bad. Big mistake in the bend away. Sled broke away from her as she was trying to cut that bending straight section through here, and that's going to be really disappointing for Andrea Butter as she was having a great run till then.
Debilitating, and what that does is obviously it slows her down so much that we don't expect any more incidents here. That looks like a straightaway, but it really isn't, is it?
It's really not. We call it bend away. Typically on tracks, it's a straight section coming out of there, but here in Königssee, it's not straight, and you have to navigate through the bending section, and it can be a bit tricky if you don't get it right. And you really just want to keep the sled in the middle as you go. And you can see here she just oversteers that first bend and breaks off into a skid, and that results in her hitting the wall and recovers in time for Jenner, but time is lost by that point.
1 year ago, this was the story of the Sochi World Championships, the double gold medal winning performance by this woman, Ekaterina Kotnikova. By far her shining moment in a pretty long, pretty consistent career, but not a lot of podiums other than those 2 world's golds.
No, Ekaterina is typically kind of a middle of the pack slider. It was really great to see her break out and have an incredible World Championships on her home track. Great for her and her career. I expect that we'll see her have a consistent run, a little bit of a mistake there through the chicanes, but again, this season she's been pretty much back to middle of the pack sliding, and I think that's where we'll see her end up today.
Quarter of a second back at that last split, then losing another 3/4, exactly 1 second behind the leader, Yulia Tobits. Kotnikova in 4th place.
The mistake off the Kreisel and into the chicanes there is going to really cost her. We'll see it here. Little skid off the end and feet down, and then she kind of bumps the side and saves it from a crash, but that's a lot of time down the track, and when it's thousandths of a second, that's going to really cost you.
Hanna Prock, one of the smaller athletes in the circuit, on course now for Austria. She did not compete last year in the Sprint World Championships, but 2 years ago she had a 14th place finish in Winterberg.
Yeah, and Hanna Prock is a legacy slider for her father. Marcus Prock is a bit of a legend in the sport, so impressive to see her here and competing, and I know she's had great results here in Königssee before, so she is someone who could definitely challenge for the podium.
A bit of a legend. Her father won 10 World Cup overalls.
He's one of the legends of the sport then.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Prock doing a little bit of skidding down here on the lower curves.
A little bit of a rough run, and shows in the time here, 7/10 back from Yulia Tobits.
On a normal day, Julia would have to be putting on her jacket about now, but this is not a normal day as the temperature is still well above freezing.
Yeah, it's tricky when the weather turns warm like this. Track conditions can be a bit variable, but it's also really soft ice, so that'll change how athletes set their sled up, and really can cause havoc with, if you don't have the right setup for soft ice.
Kendia Apariota of Latvia, 9th in the World Cup standings this season with her 2nd career podium, a 3rd place in Oberhof, veering a little bit out of curve 4, but staying off, or S4, but staying off of the wall.
Yeah, you can see that getting off of S4 there can be a little bit tricky. You saw it definitely in the men where a lot of athletes came through and rode that profile off of S4, but Kenya having a decent run here. A little bit of a mistake there out of the chicanes, but she handled it well. It will cost her some time, and I think we'll see her quite a ways back from Julia there.
8,300 back. 5th place right now, so it's Germany leading over Latvia and Russia. Those are the top 3. We've seen 7 of the 15 come down nearly at the halfway point.
You can see her here in the chicanes as the sled breaks away into a skid and starts sliding a bit sideways. That's always going to cost you quite a bit of time, and that's a result of coming off of Kreisel with not a great exit.
I would say this is the surprise entry into today's competition. Lisa Schulte, who's had a couple of 6th places on the World Cup in her career. Those have both been on her home track in Eagles. Usually she's somewhere in the upper teens in the standings.
Yeah, another young slider from Austria, just starting to find some consistency in the World Cup, and I think we'll see her start to to move up the ranks as she develops some experience and having a really good run here.
Certainly, if she follows in the footsteps of the next Austrian to come down right after her, Madeline Egler, who's made such great improvement.
Yeah, it's been impressive to watch Madeline this year, and Lisa here having a good run, and second place, you know, quite a ways back yet of Julia with her track record, but that's a great run for the young Austrian.
No one within 44 hundredths of the leader from Germany, Yulia Tobits. So while we have a second here, Alex, as we get ready for Egla, you know, just a little bit about this sprint competition, especially for the women. It allows people like Schulte to make it. And if you go back the last several years, and Martina Kocher and Erin Hamlin and Katnikova, these are names that you don't normally see regularly winning races, but they're all world champions in women's sprint.
Yeah, the idea of the sprint is it's a flying start, so it takes some of the advantage that may be gained from the stronger starters out of the equation, as everyone's kind of met the same velocity by the time you hit this first start. You know, it was never my favorite race because I had worked so hard to have a strong start, and I lost some of that advantage. But it does see some of those athletes with not as strong of a start break into podium positions where they may not have in other situations.
Madeline Egler, top 10 every race this week, including a trio of podiums. And
she's behind her teammates.
Yeah, she crosses in third place. It's Tobits, Schulte, and Egler in this surprising and unpredictable sprint format with 6 still to come.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate for Madeline, who's had such a great season. You know, not really any major mistakes, but just a little bit slower down the track. I'm sure we'll see her coming out with wanting to improve on that in the women's race later this week.
Wow, big hit off of the wall for the hometown slider, Anna Bielreiter, the Bavarian. She had maybe one paddle too many. Let's see how this might hurt her. She certainly can be fast down below. She knows this track so well.
Yeah, we'll see how that little tap at the start affects her. She's ahead right now. You know, like you said, hometown slider, and knows this track so well. So a little bit of loop there in Kreisel as the sled waves up and down. But maintaining a lead over Yulia Tobits. We'll see if she can hold on to that through this bottom section where it starts to go uphill.
To the finish curve, she does
drops
fall
behind.
Back by just 100th of a second. It's not inconceivable to see today a Germany 1, 2, 3, 4 finish, page out of 2007 or something. But that remains to be seen. Right now it's 1-2 Germany.
And here we're going to get a view of her little tap at the start. As she settled into the sled, she kind of pushed the direction towards the left a little bit and wasn't able to correct in time before she tapped that wall. It didn't hurt her, obviously, very much because she's sitting in second, but it's not an ideal way to navigate that start section.
Tatyana Ivanova of Russia, a little more conservative at the start, coming off of a silver medal last year in the World Sprint competition on her home track in Sochi. Ivanova with 2 wins this year on the World Cup.
Ivanova is a really strong slider. You can expect to see her have, you know, really fast runs, and we'll see how that works out for her today. She's a little behind right now, but those Germans are just flying today for the women.
The 29-year-old Russian now across the fent curve, and as you mentioned, Alex, it comes uphill here.
It does come uphill, so you got to maintain your speed. And, you know, third place, but quite a ways back from the 2 German women.
Quarter of a second, so there are 4 remaining. Her teammate Demchenko will be the last to go. Summer Britcher of the USA, the only other non-German trying to fight for the podium here.
So that German sweep is definitely not inconceivable at this point.
As I said, a page out of what, like 2006?
Yes, and probably several times since then as well.
Summer Britcher has a couple of World Championship medals in team relay, but has just finished off of the podium in the individual disciplines. We'll see what the top American can do here.
It's great to see the North Americans having some representation here. None of them raced in the early part of the season on the World Cup, joining just after Christmas. So trying to play a bit of catch-up with the European counterparts who've been racing since the fall.
And Summer's bronze medal in the World Cup last week in Austria is by far the highlight of the North American abbreviated season.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to see Summer break out and have a podium finish there. So we'll see how she's able to do today. Having some good lines. Unfortunately, just finishing off the podium at this point. And
there will be no podium for the American. She can do no worse than 7th, but as we mentioned last week, Summer Britcher doesn't hope to be on the podium. She generally expects to be.
Absolutely, and she's reached a point in her career where she's able to compete at that level, and you know, be great to see her come back in the women's classic race and have a podium result.
Now the two moms, first Leo's mom, then Levi's mom, back from maternity leave, the two-time defending Olympic gold medalist, Natalie Geisenberger.
And Geisenberger has come back and pretty much picked up where she left off, which is amazing to see after coming off maternity leave. She's a little behind right now, but this is her home track, so I expect that she'll pick up some time here through the Kreisel and chicanes in the lower section.
Well, the true duel this year has been between Geisenberger and the other German who has the lead down at the bottom. She's losing a lot of time.
She's losing time. Yeah, no, rare thing to see from Natalie, particularly here in Königssee, to not see her pick up time through Kreisel, but
well, she dropped all sorts of time.
Place.
Germany is 1, 2, 3 in the standings right now with another German set to go. But that's a head shaker, as was the case with Felix Locke earlier today.
Yeah, I think they just maybe missed a bit on the sled setup here. I think we're seeing here through S3, S4, down to the chicanes. Did look like she might have had some issues coming off of Kreisel. Hard to see with Natalie because she's such a phenomenal slider that you really don't notice if there's small issues, but
well, Geisenberger done, Eitenberger on course right now. These are the only two women that were faster than you, Alex, at the Olympics. Let's see what Diana can do.
Yeah, again, another woman who's come back from a maternity leave. Such an impressive thing to see them able to do that. Testament to the German program that allows for them to be able to do that. And a little flash into the green there, coming out of S4, but she's behind Tobits now. We'll see how that works out the rest of the way down.
Big, tall athlete, second maybe only to Madeline Egla. Diana Eitenberger now lives not too far from here outside of Munich. And she is coming uphill to the finish. Will it be top 3? It is third place right now. It's Germany 1, 2, 3, 4 in the standings. Anna Bierreiter has clinched her first ever World Championship podium, so that's a big moment for one Bavarian, even while Geisenberger falls off of the podium.
So, rare thing to see Natalie fall off the podium, particularly on her home track, and you can clearly see how much that meant to Anna to clinch her first World Championship medal. Congratulations to her. What an amazing result. And I'm sure we'll see great things from her in the future as well.
Well, the only woman that can break the Germany medal podium sweep is this woman, Victoria Demchenko. Earlier today, she set a track record since broken by Tobits. She has been known to be as fast as anyone, but Alex, she has been known to crash spectacularly, as she has done here in Königssee in years past.
Yeah, really inconsistent athlete. You know, she can be, like you said, among the top in the world, but also has some really spectacular crashes, but looking good here so far. Coming into the chicanes, we'll see if she can navigate those cleanly, which looks like she's doing. Now it'll be mostly up to the time. We'll see how that works out. She's behind right now.
And 45 sleds have come down this track in the last couple of hours. It's still warm. It's slowing down, and she bangs around the finish. Yulia Tobits in tears as she wins her first ever World Championship. Anna Bierreiter second, Diana Eitberger third, and Natalie Geisenberger fourth. Like days of yore. 1, 2, 3, 4, Germany.
Yeah, Germans showing their dominance on this original artificial track in Germany. Demchenko coming in just in 5th place, so we'll see a 1, 2, 3, 4 German sweep for the women, and I know there'll be lots of women looking to come out and race this weekend to see if they can break into that group, and you can see Tobits is just overjoyed for to be world championship in the sprint race, and congratulations to her. What an amazing result.
Natalie Geisenberger just off of the podium. That's after finishing first or second in every race so far this year. There's a look at all of the top 15 finishers in today's competition, and